I didn't come to the forest to find peace. I came because my words had started to betray me. Every time I spoke, something went wrong. A deal collapsed. A relationship cracked. A truth came out sharper than I intended. At 45, I finally understood the problem wasn't the world. It was my mouth. My name is Elias Crowe. I'm tall, solid from years of hauling timber, with a beard that never really gets trimmed, just shortened enough not to freeze solid. I keep my hood up most of the time. The cold gives me a reason not to show my whole face. Mystery keeps people at a distance. Distance keeps things quiet. The snow was already falling when I crossed the marker at Blackpine Ridge. No trail signs beyond that point. Just trees packed tight, sky low and gray, the kind of place where sound dies fast. That mattered. I had decided not to speak for 30 days. Not a word, not even to myself. The first night was the hardest. The cabin I'd built years earlier creaked under the weight of fresh snow. My thoughts were louder than any storm. Arguments replayed. Old names surfaced. Sentences formed automatically, desperate to escape my throat. I clenched my jaw until it hurt. By day 3, the forest started testing me. A branch snapped behind me while I was splitting logs. Every instinct told me to shout, to curse, to react. I didn't. I breathed. The silence held. Something unseen moved away. I began to notice patterns. Wind never wasted effort. Animals never made unnecessary sound. Even the snow seemed careful about when it fell heavy and when it drifted light. Nothing here explained itself. Nothing needed to. On the 7th morning, I realized something uncomfortable. The forest wasn't silent. I was. And because of that, I was finally listening. That was the moment I knew these 30 days would either break me or strip me down to what mattered. There would be no witnesses, no applause, just me, the cold, and everything I'd avoided hearing for years. If you're still here, you already understand what this is about. This isn't a story told fast, and it isn't meant to impress. It's meant to be endured. My name is Elias Crowe, and what you're about to hear happened exactly as I lived it. Before we go further, take a second to subscribe to the channel. These stories don't show up for everyone, and silence doesn't travel well in a loud world. If you're watching, it means you were meant to find it. I don't ask for much, but I do ask for one thing. Leave a comment and tell me where you're watching from. A city, a village, a road, a place with a name. Even in silence, location matters. This story begins in the northern stretch of Blackpine territory, near a forgotten logging route called Hollow Spur Road. Winters here don't forgive mistakes. Neither does solitude. What follows are 5 chapters and a closing. No dramatization, no lessons handed to you, just 30 days without speech, and what that kind of silence does to a man who thought he already knew himself. My name is Elias Crowe. I am 45 years old, tall, broad from years of physical work, beard worn long enough to belong to the cold. I keep my hood up almost all the time. The snow gives me an excuse, but the truth is simpler. I don't like being fully seen. This story begins with that choice. I've spent most of my life working alone. Logging routes, temporary camps, forgotten cabins, places where men pass through but don't stay. Silence was always nearby, but I never truly stepped into it until the winter I returned to Blackpine territory. 30 days. No speech, no exceptions. Not to strangers, not to animals, not even to myself. I didn't come here chasing enlightenment or peace. I came because words had become careless, and carelessness always charges interest. This channel exists for stories like this. Real solitude, real cold, real consequences. If this kind of story speaks to you, subscribe now. These experiences don't surface often, and they don't repeat themselves. Before we continue, leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. A city, a road, a quiet place with a name. Silence connects differently when you know someone else is listening. The first morning broke without ceremony. No sunrise worth mentioning, just a slow thinning of the dark. Snow pressed against the cabin walls like weight, not force. I stepped outside before the stove cooled, boots biting into a crust that hadn't existed the night before. The cold hit clean and immediate. It stripped thought down to function. Breathe. Move. Don't waste heat. I checked the perimeter in silence. Old habit. The cabin sat in a shallow bowl between dead firs, the place I'd named Crow's Rest years earlier. Tracks crossed the clearing. Rabbit, fox, something heavier I couldn't place yet. Normally, I'd mutter guesses out loud. This time, I kept them inside. The quiet felt tight, like holding a breath too long. By midday, the silence turned aggressive. Thoughts stacked up without an exit. Every mistake I'd ever narrated to someone else replayed with sharper edges. Arguments I'd won sounded childish now. Words I'd used to control, to soften, to avoid. My jaw ached from staying locked. I realized how often speech had been armor. I cut wood until my shoulders burned. The axe rang once, then vanished into the snow-swallowed trees. No echo, no reply. The forest absorbed sound the way deep water absorbs light. That absence started working on me. I felt smaller, not threatened, measured. Near Hollow Spur Road, I found a snare line I'd abandoned years back. Rusted wire, half buried. A reminder of another version of myself. Back then, I talked constantly. To men, to machines, to the empty air. Silence hadn't made me lonely then. Fear had. I hadn't known the difference. The temperature dropped fast after dusk. Inside the cabin, the stove ticked and settled. I ate without distraction, chewing slow, listening to the scrape of metal and the low moan of wind through gaps I hadn't sealed properly. Each sound felt intentional, earned. That night, the real test arrived. A noise outside. Not close, but not distant either. Heavy movement, snow shifting under weight. My body prepared a shout before my mind caught it. I pressed my tongue hard against my teeth until the urge passed. Whatever it was, moved on. Lying on the bunk, I understood the rule I'd set for myself wasn't about discipline. It was about restraint. Silence wasn't empty. It was pressure. And pressure, if you don't release it the wrong way, changes what you're made of. The second day started colder than the first. The kind of cold that settles into joints before you move. I woke before the stove died completely. breath already visible inside the cabin. For a moment, I almost spoke out of habit, a single word, meaningless. I stopped myself. The silence held, heavier now, more deliberate. I followed the creek east of Crow's Rest, the one I'd named Ashwater Run after the fire that stripped its banks years ago. The snow thinned near the water, dark current moving slow beneath ice plates. I knelt, filled my canteen, and listened. Water has a way of talking without asking for answers. Halfway along the run, I saw fresh tracks. Elk, big, recent. The spacing told me it wasn't moving fast. I adjusted my path without thinking, giving it room. In the past, I would have commented on the size, the direction, the luck of the sighting. Now I just marked it and moved on. Observation felt cleaner, without narration. By noon, hunger sharpened everything. I set a small trap near the tree line, fingers numb, movements precise. Silence forced efficiency. Every wasted motion stood out. Every mistake felt louder without words to excuse it. I understood why experienced men speak less. Not because they know more, but because they don't need to announce it. The forest responded differently once I stopped filling it with sound. Birds didn't scatter as quickly. Wind patterns became readable. I could tell where snow would drift before it did. None of it felt mystical. It felt practical. Listening saves energy. Late afternoon, I reached the old marker stones near Northcutt Pass. I hadn't planned to go that far. My legs took me there on their own. The stones stood half-buried, names long worn smooth. Men who came north chasing money, leaving only weight in the ground. I rested there longer than I meant to. On the way back, the sky closed in fast. Snow fell heavy and direct. Visibility shrank. I felt the first pull of urgency, the instinct to hurry, to curse weather that didn't care. I slowed instead. Panic burns heat faster than cold. That night, alone with the sound of the storm pressing down, I understood something simple and uncomfortable. Silence removes witnesses. Without them, there's no performance, only decisions, and whatever follows them. By the third morning, silence stopped feeling temporary. It settled in like weather, something I had to move through rather than wait out. My body adjusted faster than my mind. Muscles worked. Breath found rhythm. Thoughts still crowded in, but they no longer demanded release. I pushed north past the ridgeline, into a stretch I'd avoided for years. The locals used to call it Grave Needle Wood, a stand of dead spruce left standing after a beetle kill. The trees there don't sway, they click, dry trunks striking each other in the wind like bone. Sound without voice. Snow lay deeper in the needles. Each step sank wrong, stealing balance. I slowed, testing ground before committing weight. Silence sharpened that instinct. Talking makes men rush. Quiet teaches patience the hard way. Midway through the stand, I felt watched, not imagined, earned. The kind of awareness that crawls up the spine without explanation. I stopped moving, no breath, no shift. The forest didn't react. After a long minute, I saw it. A gray wolf, half hidden between trunks, eyes steady, not hostile, measuring. Normally, I would have spoken. Low voice, calm tone, old habit from dealing with nervous men. Instead, I did nothing. I let my presence exist without explanation. The wolf tilted its head, confused more than threatened. Silence unsettles predators too. We stood like that longer than comfort allows. Then the wolf turned and slipped away, soundless. No drama, no victory, just distance restored. My hands shook after. Not fear, release. The walk back took longer. I replayed the encounter without words, just images. I realized how often I'd talked animals out of their natural response, inserting myself into moments that didn't require me. Silence had returned the balance. Back at Crow's Rest, I noticed small changes. My movements were slower, but cleaner. I wasted less wood, ate less, listened more. The cabin felt less like a shelter and more like a pause between decisions. That night, as wind scraped ice along the roof, I accepted something I'd resisted for years. Silence doesn't make you invisible, it makes you honest. Without speech, there's nothing to hide behind. And in that exposure, the forest doesn't judge. It only responds. The fourth day broke something open. Not loudly, not all at once. It started with a mistake. I overslept. The fire had burned too low, and the cold crept into the cabin deeper than before. My fingers were stiff, slow to answer commands. In the past, I would have cursed myself awake. Now there was only consequence. I moved too fast after that, rushed to make up for lost heat. That's when I cut my hand. Not deep, but enough. Blood on snow is louder than any word. I wrapped it tight and forced myself to sit still. Silence makes injuries instructive. Pain doesn't distract when there's nothing to talk over it. By midday, the storm rolled in from the west without warning. Thick, sideways snow, the kind that erases paths and punishes hesitation. I was halfway to Ashwater Run when visibility collapsed. The forest I thought I knew rearranged itself in minutes. Landmarks vanished. Confidence followed. Panic tried to speak for me. My chest tightened. Breath shortened. Every instinct begged for noise. Shouting, calling, naming the problem out loud like that might anchor me. I didn't. I dropped my pack, knelt, and waited. Stillness was the only tool left. In that quiet, details surfaced. Wind direction, snow density, a faint break in the trees that didn't belong to chance. The land hadn't changed. My attention had. I recognized the slope leading down toward Northcutt Pass and adjusted course without standing. Hours later, I reached the marker stones again, half buried, but solid. I leaned against them, shaking, not from cold, from understanding. Speaking would have sped my steps. Speed would have cost me direction. Direction would have cost me my life. The walk back to Crow's Rest was slow, deliberate. Every decision weighed, every step placed. Silence wasn't restraint anymore. It was navigation. That night, bleeding hand throbbing, storm howling outside, I finally understood the rule I'd been circling. Silence isn't the absence of action. It's the refusal to waste it. And once you learn that, there's no going back. By the fifth day, the silence no longer resisted me. It moved with me. I woke before the cold could press in, fed the stove with measured hands, and sat without urgency. Time stretched differently now. Without speech, hours didn't rush past. They stacked. I stayed close to Crow's Rest that day. The storm had stripped the land raw, exposing edges I hadn't seen before. Broken branches marked wind paths. Snowdrifts formed patterns I could read. The forest wasn't forgiving, but it was consistent. Consistency is something you can work with. My injured hand forced patience. Every task took longer. Chopping wood became calculation instead of power. Silence amplified effort. It also removed frustration. There was no audience for mistakes, just correction. In the afternoon, I noticed tracks circling the cabin. Not predator, man. Old prints softened by snow, but deliberate. Someone had been there days earlier. I felt no fear, only clarity. Talking wouldn't have changed that fact. Preparation would. I checked supplies, reinforced the door, reset the perimeter. Each action felt precise, stripped of excess. Silence had filtered my priorities down to what mattered now, not what felt impressive later. As dusk settled, I stood outside and let the cold bite deep. I realized I hadn't thought about the 30-day mark in hours. The goal was fading. The practice remained. That mattered. Inside, the fire burned steady. I ate slow, listening to the wood speak in cracks and shifts. Sound without language. Meaning without explanation. Before sleep, I sat on the bunk and accepted the truth I'd been avoiding. Silence hadn't made me weaker or isolated. It had made me exact. And in a world that rewards noise, exactness is a kind of power. 30 days passed without a single word leaving my mouth. But by the end, silence no longer felt like a rule. It felt like a companion. I left Blackpine territory the same way I entered it, alone, hood up, snow settling on my shoulders. But something essential had shifted. I no longer felt the urge to explain myself to the world. The forest had stripped my speech down to necessity, and what remained was restraint. I understood then that most of what we say isn't meant to communicate, but to protect our pride, our fear, or our need to be noticed. Silence removed those defenses. What stayed was clarity. I still speak now. Silence isn't abandonment. It's control. Knowing when words add weight and when they only add noise. That winter taught me prudence the hard way. Listen first, move second, speak last, if at all. If this story stayed with you, take that with you. You don't need 30 days or a frozen forest to learn it. You only need to pause before you speak and ask whether the moment requires sound or strength.